You have to be delusional to be an entrepreneur. You have to be. And
His name is David Mullings. He's the chairman and CEO of Blue Mahoe Capital, whose investment firm focuses on the Caribbean. And he told me,
so my job is to allow an entire generation to exceed everything I have accomplished. All I hear is Joe Matalan going batting. I say, yeah, man, I in Joe. And that's what Michael Leachin has passed on to me, right? Mike expects me to exceed him.
I want to buy some Grace Kennedy stocks. What me do? What do I do?
Okay, SSL happened in Jamaica. It should not happen. It's messed up. I don't think they treat Bolt and the other people right either. But have the Chinese stopped investing in Jamaica? If we want to elevate each other, we have to think like how Jewish people and Chinese people think, you know. Them will help each other, you know. They are not gatekeepers.
And the Caribbean is the next investment frontier, so our phone is ringing off.
If you could invest in one thing for the rest of your life, what would it be and why?
If you're living overseas and looking to invest in your own country, this is the episode for you. On this week's episode of the Yardman podcast, we have an entrepreneur and investor, David Mullings, who is also the founder and CEO of Blue Mahoe Holdings.
So the first question we normally ask on this podcast is, who are you and what is your purpose? And we use that question to frame the conversation to some extent. So who is David Mullings and what do you believe is your purpose?
Oh, I love that one. So, you know, the way I answer who I am is I am the son of Dr. and Nurse Mullings, born and raised in Jamaica, because my parents are so integral to who I have become as a person. They raised me, the morals and values that I have. And in terms of what is my purpose, that one for me, I told my mom that when I was 15 years old. My purpose was to become a positive role model for young people around the world, and especially young males in Jamaica. That is my purpose.
At 15 years old, you said that you wanted to be a positive role model. Now, many 15-year-olds will be having that mindset, you know. At 15, I can tell you for sure, I did not want to inspire anyone except the girl from Merle Grove or Queens. That's all.
Right. Yeah. So, again, it comes down to mom and dad, right? Imagine being 8 years old and you're growing up sort of in church, not every Sunday, but most Sundays. And dad straps a lavalier mic and a tape recorder on me and on my younger brother. My brother Robert, a year younger than me. And he says that we need you to become a leader of men, which means you need to be good at public speaking. And just in case somebody doesn't show up on our Sunday when we're in charge for the reading, one of you can jump up there and read the Bible quick without even knowing what was in there. You don't have to memorize it. You don't need to practice. And so that has us now learn, whether it's practicing Michael Manley's speeches or practicing JFK or Martin Luther King, and we need to count how many arms and arms when he plays it back. So Dad is the one who first set us up as that idea of the need to be a positive role model for other people. And Dad was a lecturer at University of the West Indies, now retired. So he's been teaching. So he wanted his children to be able to teach in whatever fields they're going to, he must teach people and inspire them. So it was them. It really was them. They gave us role models who we looked up to. And these are the Nelson Mandelas of the world. They can't help when you have role models like that, but think that, you know, I could try and do a thing. We learn about Marcus Garvey and Bob Marley, and they said, but they came from Jamaica too. Why should I think small? Maybe I could do that for my generation. So that's really what caused it. It's all Dad's fault.
So he basically set you up for this without knowing. Oh no, he knew.
I don't know if no, he knew. He knew what he was doing. Let's be honest. He knew.
And as a youngster, like, how did you take it? Did you take it as like a role that you know you had to play, or it was something like, Daddy, I want to do other things, Daddy?
Some pushback.
No, it's zero pushback from me, because imagine going to whether it's a supermarket or you go to an event and everybody knows who your father is. Oh, your father taught me in 4th year or 5th year med school, or your father delivered my child. So this is what I grew up constantly seeing. That was on the board of Jamaica Cancer Society, all these things. And I love seeing that people looked up to my father, and I said, oh, you know, I would like that to happen in my life too. I want to walk in the supermarket and somebody said that I had a positive impact on their life. And zero pushback from me then.
Okay.
Well, so your dad was your first hero, and I realized that sometimes I watch your videos, you have a lot of Marvel stuff, a lot of Star Wars stuff. So imagine having your superhero at home. That must have been something. Where in Jamaica did you grow up, and what was that like?
So I grew up in Kingston 6. I'm an uptown kid, grew up in Hope Pastures, used to walk home from school. So I went to Mona Prep, I went to Campion, I did cadet at JC, Jamaica College, where my brother went to high school. But dad is from Montego Bay, specifically from Montpellier, and mom is from Ulster. She would say top Ulster in Clarendon. So they made sure that we spent time in their communities, especially Montego Bay areas, to understand where they came from. So we would know that we are more privileged than them, but they worked their butts off to give us this privilege. We shouldn't look down on anyone else. We shouldn't treat them different because I'm in a different social class. No, because everybody has a chance to get out of that social class. And the idea is that you want the next generation to be better off than you were and not have the same trials and tribulations. They should have some new challenges. So my parents were very, very fixated. That's the word I would use, fixated on ensuring that we understand that not everybody has the same opportunities, not everybody has the same parents, and it had nothing to do with them. You don't pick your parents, you don't pick where you're born, you don't pick what decade you're born in. Nothing to do with you. So don't look down on somebody for doing that. And then ensure I played stuff like football. So when I played with Real Mona, I get to see people from all over the place, right? This is not just people that grew up in Nowbrook or grew up in Stony Hill or Beverly Hills or Hope Pastures. These are also people that are down the road from Standpipe, right? This is right down the road from me, and I got to meet people from all walks of life and learn. So, yeah, man, them just like me, but if them just get a little opportunity, a little bit more education or the right role models, it could make a difference as well. So how can I play a role to help those people rather than looking down on them like some of the uptown people I went to school with? And that was important to have mom and dad, I would say, ensure that we were grounded. That's the word I want to use, that we were grounded.
So you identified at an early age that you were more privileged than a lot of Jamaicans. How did you deal with the reverse of that relationship, whereas they would look down on you for being from uptown per se?
So, I didn't realize that was a thing until I was playing under 20 football with Real Mona. This is 2001 January. I met the under 20 team and they gave me number 10. And we had to play a game against Tivoli Gardens, and we're playing up at Real Mona. So there's Buttercup Park in Mona. And I never forget the first half. I come on with my brand new Nike boots and I feel good. Mom buy it in Miami. She was a nurse and she used to work in Miami, so she bring down the boots. I'm ready. First half, I just hear Tivoli Gardens actually had people like show up, fans show up for them under 20 team. And they're screaming, "Don't worry about the pretty boy, don't worry about the pretty boy." So when the first half done, I walk over to the crowd and I ask one lady, I say, who is this pretty boy you talking about? They say, "No, you with the Will Smith haircut and the goatee and the brand new Nike boots. I bet it's your father drive the Pajero over there." I must say, "Oh, okay then." Go to my little team meeting, do the huddle, get back on the field. Within 15 minutes of second half, Matt the pretty boy, Matt the pretty boy. And I felt so good after that. I said, yeah, man, I needed to understand it does not matter what privilege I have or don't have. All that matters is, can I actually play? Whatever it is I'm doing, am I good at it? And I did not realize I was uptown until that day. I'll be very honest. I grew up a bit sheltered. I thought of Jamaica as Kingston and everywhere else. That's how I grew up, right? That's what there's Kingston, our country. I never thought about the different classes of, the downtown. I never, because I was playing football with people that were down in Standpipe. I hung out in Standpipe with them. I honestly never thought of it as I am uptown. That's when it happened. And for me, it felt like reverse discrimination. I was like, really? But would you want to discriminate against somebody's, your children? If you get a bus as a footballer, get a bus as an artist, or get into business, do something where you make money, your child now grows up more privileged than you. Would you want strangers to come and be mean to your child because you bust your butt to provide for that child? I thought it was unfair. That's how I felt at first. And then I realized, you know what? It's not their fault, though. I can't hold it against them because this is what they've been raised in. And our society has actually really focused on that class division, unfortunately, in Jamaica in particular. In the US, I think it's racial division. In Jamaica, it's class division.
So that moment, like playing on the field and realizing, like getting conscious of the class that you're in, did it bring positive changes to you, or did you start looking over your back?
I never look. It brought positive change, and I tell you what it did. It made me spend more time speaking to people who are less privileged than me to understand what are they doing different so their children don't end up like that, right? I wanted to understand how I could help them, but I can't. I don't want to make the mistake that most wealthy people are better off people do. They feel like they can tell you what to do. And I don't think that's the way. You're so right. Typically, it's a white savior complex, right? You're in the UK or Canada and you decide, hey, I can donate money to Jamaica or to Africa, and I'm going to tell you how to use the money. I'm going to tell you what to do and how to solve the problems. No, no, no. Ask them, first of all, what are the problems they're having? What are some of the solutions you believe would work? What have you tried? What work, what don't work? Then you help them. Right? Stop coming with the savior complex. So it allowed me to learn not, well, I should say, reduce the savior complex. You can't save everybody. And first, relate to them as a human being. And so one of the things I did was I took mom and dad's camera with a little high-end video camera. And I was recording some of my matches. And so, for example, with the Tivoli Gardens match, I went to the coach afterwards and I said, hey, Dad recorded the match. And you have two players that are really good in them. And I think if we put together a tape, you could have sent it to some colleges and they might get a scholarship. I think they're really that good. I said, give me a phone number and I'll run off 2 copies and I can give it to you. And the man said, how much you going to charge me? And I said, charge. I just said I would run off 2 copies and give you the tape. Why would you think I'm going to charge him? He said, people like you don't help people like me.
Wow.
And I said, people like me, I don't understand. He said, you uptown people don't help ghetto youth like me. I said, no, serious thing, boss. I said, give me a number. I'm going to get a copy of the tape for you. No cost. So give me the number. A week later, I run it off and give him 2 copies at no cost. And the man say, you're the first uptown youth to actually help me in my respect. That was shocking. That was genuinely shocking to me. I was like, ratted. So now I know when I go into these spaces, they automatically look at me as, yeah, man, it's an uptown youth that him now go help us. And I need to quickly ensure they know, no, man, I'm actually here to genuinely help you. I'm not try to make a money off for you. I'm not look down on you. How can I help? Tell me a story. So I took that same camera and I sat with a friend of mine. He was playing on our team in defense. His nickname was Basha. To this day, I don't know the man's real name. Basha the man name, right? Basha live in Sandpipe. So I would drop him home some days from training because I have to pass him on the way home. So I was like, hey man, just roll with me instead of, I'm walking home. Him need to save the bus fare. I say, oh mate, roll with me. Man, socks tear up and I say, yo, I have an extra yellow socks and I might, me just get extra yellow socks. Yo, respect David, the boots bust. I'm gonna say, yo, mate, I have 2 boots in there. What size do you wear? Yeah, man, all right, take this one. And I didn't want it to be in a way that I'm just giving stuff, right? We have to be careful that the person don't feel like it's out of pity. Yo, my side need for win. I'm gonna need it to have the right equipment. I have some extra thing. And that costed me here. Like, make me do a thing. All right, this is one team, one family. And then I asked him if he's willing to sit down and do an interview with me. So I decided this is the first video I ever shot to put out in public. And I sat down and I wanted to talk to him about his experience growing up in the ghetto, less than a mile from where I grew up, and how our lives end up being so different. And it literally brought tears to my eyes. I remember I asked Tanya Stevens to allow me to use one of her songs from her album back then, Gangster Blues, right? That talking right. Not the It's a Pity song. That song is on that album. We're talking about just life and the difference opportunity that you had nothing to do with where you're born. 1 mile difference changed your man's life. And it was the first time I found out that he had to pay exam fees. When I say, how come you never go off? You're good enough to play ball, how you never go a UE or something? I'm saying, no, my parents never have the money to pay the exam fee for CXC. And I was like, wait, we have fees? I didn't even know we paid the exam fees. I thought education was the way out. Why would we charge fees for the exam that we need to be able to go and do a bit better things? And I posted that video. It's about 45 minutes long. I call it a mini documentary. I posted it on Facebook. And I got so many comments coming back, and then I created a website relate to that where I wanted to try and just help tell more stories, and then I had to pause on that, focus on launching an actual business, because that became more of a charity kind of thing. That's, to me, that's not sustainable. So I had to find a different way to help those people, and that's why I became a philanthropist. I want to be able to help people in a sustainable way. I want to give once and impact forever. But that is how it got started.
Wow. Yeah, that story, showing the duality of Jamaica, how people perceive different classes. It's something that needs to be highlighted a lot more, and hopefully a few people are watching or listening can see that, because I went to JC and went to school with people that drove a BMW to school, and then I went to school with people that walked from downtown to school.
To
So
school.
I managed to experience both, but I realized that going to a school and being in an environment like that opened up both worlds, both minds to different perspectives.
Exactly.
And for you, that was the football field. But
Mhm.
I'm getting from that Campion didn't really facilitate that ground. Campion is a totally different atmosphere. Like, everyone at Campion is under this big sheltered umbrella, it seems.
Yeah, well, so it was interesting. It wasn't until a few years ago. So next year is actually my 30th. Crap, is it my 30th high school reunion? It might be more than that. I graduated fifth form in 96, right? So yeah, 30th high school reunion. I wasn't until probably the 20th high school reunion, so 10 years ago, that I was talking with, because I stay in touch with almost everybody. And so some of them, oh man, Mullings, I'm so proud of you, I'm following this, and I'm going to invest. So I finally have some money I can invest. It's not like when I was in high school. And I was like, what do you mean you never have money in high school? I don't understand. We all went to Campion. I don't get it. Man say, oh, well, you might not have known, but I come from this ghetto place, whatever, and I got a scholarship to Campion, and I never let anybody at school know where I come from, which school I went to for primary school. They make sure them shoes nice and clean, and the one pair of shoes that not gonna mash up. Them not gonna make nobody see them walking. So then we leave school late or go over Sovereign and go hide a little bit. Like, and I never realized that there were people not in my social class. I thought people were above me. I never thought anybody was below the upper middle class, right? And it was because they were consciously hiding it because they didn't want people to tease them. And I was like, ratted, me never. Yeah, man, the Jansport bag I get my grandmother in New York get a used bag and send for me kind of. And I was like, wow, is high school really like that in Jamaica? And I don't think it's unique to Jamaica, right? Because in America, you don't have uniform. At least in Jamaica, we all wear the same uniform. In America, you all wear Jordans to go to school, and everybody can tell if you have money or not. So at least Jamaica is better in that way. But we were judged based on what car is picking you up, or if a car picking you up or not. I'll be honest. That was, I'm going to tell you a funny story. That probably not going to want me to tell this one. So Dad grew up in Montego Bay, and his favorite vehicle the family always used to drive were Holdens, right? So this big car, and it's bench seating at the front. It's not two seats. It's a bench at the front, bench at the back. And this is 1960s, 1970s Holdens. And while I'm at Campion, I remember this is fourth form. Dad gets a new Pajero, right? He's a doctor. He gets a duty concession every 3 years and go upgrade the car. And then he goes and sees a brown Holden for sale, and him go buy the Holden. Talk about him go work on the car. And me, I look and say, what kind of rubbish car this year? Buy some old car, man. Come on. And said, Dad tell me, say, him coming to pick me up one day in the Holden. So I said, come to the back gate, and said, don't come the front gate. So I'm come to the back gate. I'm going to try and make sure the man them don't see me jump into the car. Jump in the car, hide. Dad drive off. And Dad asking me, why am I ducking? I said, Dad, because I don't want them see me getting in this old car, man. Like, no, I don't want to deal with that at school. I come back the next day to school in the morning, and two other man then pull me aside and say, yo, Mullings, me see that brown car that your father pick you up in, And I literally feel like I went white, right? All the blood drained from, oh no. Them say, yeah, man, next time we bring it, I want to see it. Yo, it's an antique that, that car, the money not it. And I was like, oh, really? From that day, I said, Dad, pick me up in the Holden every day. I don't want to see the Pajero no more. Bring the Holden, come. The man, them come on in the seat and say, to me, it's an antique car. But that literally was how, right? I never got that when I was at JC and I went to cadet at JC, right? I did cadet at JC, 3 times a week. I never got the same vibe of, oh, you're not in the right car or this. So definitely there was a difference between JC and Campion, 100%. 100%.
And you graduated in 1996.
From fifth form, yes.
Yeah, from fifth form. You didn't go sixth form, or was sixth form?
Never went to sixth form. Went straight to university. Went straight to college in the States.
Okay. Why college straight after fifth form? Why not go to sixth form? Why not take
man.
off and do something?
So mom sat me down and said that I'm a permanent resident. Right? Mom used to work in the US as a nurse. She would fly up and do 14 days on, 7 days off, working with Jackson Memorial in Miami, had an apartment. So I was used to flying up there every now and then and get to visit mom. And so because of that, she had become a citizen. She worked in New York first, then Miami. She was a citizen. She could file for us. And she said, you have residency now. You don't have to go to sixth form. You can actually go straight to college in America. You don't need to do the 2 years of sixth form to get into college there. If I'm going into the UK system, I would need to continue doing that. If I want to go to UE, where dad is a teacher, he's a lecturer, then I would have to do the 2 years to get into UE. But if I want, I could skip 2 years. And since football is one of the things I want to do, it's probably better that I get into the US system to go and play some football and try and get a look versus staying in the Jamaican environment where they're literally looking at me as, yo, you're uptown youth, you now get a run. That's really what we were looking at. And so we moved to Pembroke Pines, South Florida. We jokingly call that Kingston 21. There are 20 Kingstons. Well, so much Jamaican in Miramar and Pembroke Pines, we call it Kingston 21. And I went to Broad Community College. Mom wanted me to learn the US system first. I'm going in at 15 years old. We need to understand the US school system before I run off and go some expensive college. So it's a 2-year program. I would then apply to more schools after that. And then she signed me up to play with Pembroke Pines Optimists with their football team. She said, you're not going to come here and only do schoolwork. And not raising a nerd, you need to go play some sports. And she bought me a Nintendo 64 as well when it came out. So she said, you're going to play some games. You're going to play your sports and you're going to have your schoolwork. You don't have to get all A's. And I was like, oh, respect. I appreciate that. She said, but don't fail the classes. But we're not going to hold it to every single A. And I was like, all right, thanks.
Seems like
So they supported the football thing.
So the football thing, you know what? I want to take a little diversion, of course, because you talk about football a few times, and it seems football kind of let you know exactly. Football was the first moment the world opened up to you to realize that not everyone is playing on the same field except when you were on that field,
Exactly. That's the only field that is level. Mm-hmm. And even then is actually not level because some teams have better equipment, have better training facilities, and could afford that. But at least it was a more level field, in my opinion. Because to get on the field, I had to be good enough to deserve to be on the field. I couldn't pay to get on the team. I had to earn the right to be on that team. And I had to earn the respect of my teammates. And no matter what the background is, we come here to go and win together, or we're going to lose together, but we are working together. So I love team sports.
Together. The Jamaica qualifying for the World Cup. What are your thoughts on that? This is my diversion. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I want to know.
How do you feel about that?
All right, let's be very clear. This is the easiest pathway we will ever have to qualify for a World Cup. Everybody have to agree with that. Mm. So for us to go and have this happen where we didn't qualify automatically, we're now going to have to go through this pathway one where we play 2 games to try and qualify is utterly ridiculous. And the money should just be given to the reggae girls instead. That's how me feel.
That's an interesting point of view. That's an interesting point of view. Yeah. Allocate the funds to the reggae girls.
Yeah, man. The reggae girls play with more heart. Them clearly want to win. And them not, oh my goodness. We picked the wrong kind of coach to come and coach a team. We build a team wrong because we don't focus on getting a team together that's been playing from under 14, under 16, 17, 21 to then go into the national team. Right? We're pulling players from all over, put them together. They don't even have a training camp for 2 months or 3 months to really get to know each other. Right? We don't have a style that we play that everybody plays that style of football. Every time we change coach, the style change. That don't make sense to me. So as somebody who has played football, right? I trained with Mario when I played with Miami FC. I get to play in some nice ball game. I played here in Jamaica in Real Mona for Major League and in the National League as well as under 20. So I feel I have some sense about football, and this is not the way that I would build a national program that is designed to consistently get into the World Cup. So I don't feel that our national program is designed to get into the World Cup. I feel that the reggae boys in particular, the program is designed to get players, local players, international contracts. I think that's actually the reason it is run this way, and they're just not saying it publicly. But is that really what they want? Get the man them a look, get them a foreign bus, and they'll be happy. It's a country that want to make the World Cup for the sake of
Yeah.
pride. We want that. I don't think the JFF cares about that.
It's more of it. So it comes on back to money. So to get back on track, why didn't you go into full football mode? Why did you become an investor? You know, because it
Oh,
seems
I love that.
if you're training with Romario in Miami FC,
Yeah.
and you're being
Yeah,
real,
man.
why you didn't go full the football route?
I love it. So imagine this. At 15, I graduated at 19, and I had two options. Mom said I could go and link up with my cousin in the UK and try make a team over there, or I could come back home to Jamaica. I said, Mom, the FIFA Under 21 World Cup will be in 2002. They're going to select the players from the Under 20 competitions played in Jamaica. I would rather try and make the real one Under 20 team first, and then get a look to try and get into the national program. If that don't work, then I can always go to the UK. But give me 6 months to come to Jamaica and try and make this. And so I came back to Jamaica that December 2000. So 2001 we're going to play, I'm going to get in the program. And I made the team. So I met the Real Mona team and played that competition, played against the senior team, which was in the National League at the time, the second, and I scored. I scored 3 goals actually in an exhibition game. And so the senior coach asked me to come and also play with them. So I had 2 seasons running at the same time. Thursday, 3 o'clock games on the 20th, Saturday, mostly games with the senior team. And I had been in the Olympic development program in Florida, in the US. I had to drop out of the Olympic development program because I didn't want to end up playing in the US. At the time, I was a US citizen and a Jamaican citizen. I didn't want to stay in their program. I really wanted to go wear the black, green, and gold. Mom inveigled me to apply for a master's degree. Hey, you should apply. Just apply. Your brother going to apply for a master's, you should apply to whatever. So I applied to some MBA programs and another master's program at Yale. And the University of Miami offered me a half tuition scholarship for the first year to do my 2-year MBA. And my mom and dad sit me aside and we go and call them and say, hey, this football thing really going well, you know. I want to defer to next year. I want to try this football thing. I want to make a go of it. Can you defer the scholarship? And I say, yeah, man. We're sure when you reapply next year, you'll qualify for the scholarship again. I say, no. That's not what defer mean, you know. Defer mean I have it, but you just move it to next year. I say, no, we can't do that. You have to either take it this year or reapply next year. But we're confident based on your scores and you'll get it. I said, geez, so mom and dad sat me down and said, well, Robert has applied and he has gotten in, but he hasn't been offered a scholarship. If you take the scholarship, both of you could go at the same time right now. And one house, one car would save a lot of expenses for us. And you would still be young when you graduate. You'd be 23 years old, 22 years old. So you can still go play some ball. It would really help us out if you do this. If you don't do this, we can't guarantee that we can help you with a master's. It's Robert to get all the help. So you know what me thinking now? Well, football, and of course, dad is a doctor, mom is a nurse. So I'm saying, I say, one injury, one ACL, one ankle thing, and you know, no more football career, you know, you should really get the master's. And you know how that go.
Yeah.
So I was inveigled into accepting the scholarship to University of Miami in fall 2001, and my brother started his MBA at the same time with me. And then I'd play when I was at University of Miami. That's how I ended up playing with Miami FC. So I played in Miami while doing the MBA. But that first semester, we had a class on entrepreneurship, and we had to come together as a group and present some business to the class, just for the sake of the actual class and getting a grade. It wasn't actually to launch a business. And Robert and I, mom and dad had us presenting business ideas every summer and Christmas since 1996, right? That they could invest $10,000 in, and they kept saying no. So we had an idea that we pitched in the class, and the first hand that went up during Q&A, the man said, can I invest $10,000? That was the first question in the class. Wow. And the professor said, wow, I think you guys are onto something, you know. So we run home, we call mom and dad in Jamaica and say, hey, we have an investor that want to give us 10 grand, you know. We want to take it. And them say, no, don't take the money. And we say, what do you mean don't take the money? Somebody wants to invest in our idea, we want it. No, you don't know if it's smart money. And we say, what is smart money? And I say, you don't know if the person is aligned with your values. You don't even know if they're honest. You don't know if they're short-term or long-term oriented. Don't take the money. We will invest the $10,000. Now we say, wait a minute, you actually have 10 grand you can risk? And they say, no, we're not giving you 10 grand up front. We're going to absorb your living costs up to $10,000. You are going to take part-time jobs, and all the money you make from the job you're going to put into the business. And so this is now October of 2001, and we go take part-time jobs at a movie theater, a 24-screen movie theater, and we ran the concession stand. So that's what we're going to do. And mom and dad, we were actually paying them rent. So they stopped charging us rent. They pay for the car. So car payment, car insurance, health insurance, internet, light, water. They took on all our expenses. And every dollar we made from working Thursdays through Sundays, we'd put that money into the business. So we bought cameras, we bought the computer, we buy the software, Adobe Photoshop, all them things. And we launched Real Vibes on February 1st, 2002. So we launched the business on February 1st, 2002. And then it took on a life of its own. And basically that was the end of football like that. I had to focus now on the startup. We had taken money from investors who really believed in what we could do. And what dad said to me is, don't worry, one day you can just buy a football team instead. And that way you can be involved in football. Just be successful at building a business. So that is the mission now, is to buy into at least one football team. And I've jokingly said to a few of them that, if you want, you can move my registration from Real Mona and let me walk on in the 90th minute when the game almost done.
That's why where was this Tony? It was somewhere in Africa where the guy owned the football team, and he played the game. He was worse on the field.
But you see, the good thing is at least I know I'd contribute, and people would say, "Oh wait, but man," at first I would be like, "Oh, this rich man really go buy the club and I go put himself on the field," and then they're going to be one and two thing and say, "Oh, but so the man actually can play." Right, I just clicked, right. I sponsor Real Mona's Masters League team right now, the last 2 years. So we are in the Casafa Masters League right now, Kingston and St. Andrew Football Association. So 3 of the guys on the team played with me in under 20. So we at least know each other. And 2 of my cousins are on there, Jason Moses and Jordan Moses, Peter Moses' children. Mm-hmm. So I landed this past Sunday in Jamaica, right? I get home at 11:30. Yeah, mom and dad are here. And I say, "Hey, mom, dad, what are you doing today, 4 o'clock? Them say, "Why?" I said, "Because Real Mona Masters League have match and I go into the match." And I say, "You're planning to play or what?" I say, "I don't know. I'm going to be dressed for the team. And if they need extra players because they don't have enough subs, I'll play. But I'm registered and I did spend 6 weeks this summer training in Jamaica with them 3 times a week." I'm serious. Mom said, "I don't have time here, mom. I don't have time to go watch no 40-year-old man go mash up himself thinking he can still play ball." So I get to the field 3 o'clock or warm up. And the coach, who I know from Mona Prep days, Vivian, say, "All right, so here's the starting 11. Bam, bam, bam. Left wing, David." And then I was like, "There's another David on the team." He said, "No, you, Mullings, you start." I said, "But I just land this morning. You read the game, put me on the field, I just land." He said, "Oh, you don't want to play?" I said, No, I want to play. So I go run out my life the first 15 minutes, come off, give the next man them a run. Game almost done, we down 2 over. Him say, "Hey, 5 minutes leave. We're going to finish 4th no matter what. The other team that could have gone above us losing. So we're good. Who want to run? Mullings, you want the last 5 minutes?" I say, "Yeah, man, put me as my striker. Take out Jason." So I sub out Jason. 2 minutes later, and I'm a nice white Predator boots, collect the ball, send the true pass, assist. 2-1. And everybody celebrated my assist like I scored. They're saying, "Grab the ball, we can draw this, get the ball again." Yeah. And the game just and I loved it. But one of the guys on another team from Santos was my captain from when I played at Jamaica National in the Business House League in 2007. And I was a leading goal scorer in the league that season and we're undefeated. So the man come over to me, Kirk, say, "Yo, Mullins, I'm glad to see you still a play ball and you still have it, man. We appreciate the thing and we have to link up and catch up him still at Jamaica National." And then another guy happened to stay and watch. He's playing with the Casey Old Boys. Their match was before mine, named Marvin. He played with me again at the JN thing. So he come over to me and say, "Yo, Mullins, you still have it, yo. We have to stay fit in a man. We're over 40, but we must still kick ball." And it felt so good that there are people I met through football and through work who are still playing. And we're taking it serious, but we never go pro, but we can play a little ball. And we can go reason and hang out. And it allowed me to have friends across the world as far as I'm concerned. So football matters to me, as you can tell, in a big way.
Yeah,
really big way.
It's a big passion of yours, even though you never get to play, as you say.
Yeah, man, I didn't get to play in the way that I wanted. And that's actually why my wife never let me have the boys. We have 2 boys and a little girl. She see me buy a little goal and set them up outside. My buy keeper gloves and everything, buy them little football boots. And she saw me train them for a week and she said, nope, this not happening. You trying to make them go professional and do what you didn't do. You are not going to force them to live your dream. Let them pick whatever sport they want. And so the oldest one is actually more into basketball. But yeah, I was going to try and make them go pro. I'm not going to lie. I was going to try.
Every man have that.
Every man's dream, yeah.
project came back. One was started.
Can't help it.
Yeah.
Can't help it. But it's funny, right? One of my investors and closest friends is Kari Stevenson. So Kari was Mona prep, real Mona as well. Wilma's real Mona, and played in the United States for college. Got drafted into MLS, moved to Europe and played in Sweden and played in Norway. Then came back, played with the San Jose Earthquakes and retired. I think Kari has 43 caps for Jamaica. So he actually get to represent, live the dream. And I remember my wife was with me when we were watching a San Jose Earthquakes game with him. So he was playing against the LA Galaxy. The game done, we go back in the back room thing, and then we headed to his house, his townhouse. And we're sitting down, chatting, catching up, talking about the game and all this stuff. And Kari saying, yeah, man, I used to have David watch my games online and give me feedback when I was in Sweden playing. And boy, David, you should have really tried and go pro. You should have come here and make even a fourth division team in Europe. You had the right mental attitude, right? The skills are good, but you need to have the right attitude mentally to actually get to that level. And say, you could have really make it in. And so my wife say, yeah, man, you should have done that. Why you never do that? And I say, wait, no, stop and think about this, Catherine. When did we meet each other? Right? If I had followed Kari, we would never meet. Luke wouldn't exist. We wouldn't be married. I would be off playing football. Right? The decisions you make alter the trajectory of your life. And you say, I didn't think about that. And I remember Kari said to me, boy, David, I don't think people understand how lucky people like you are. And I said, no, Kari, you are lucky. You are living the dream we all wanted. And they say, yeah, but you're not thinking about the downside. He said, I only saw my parents twice a year when I was in Sweden and Norway. Once when they come to visit and when I go home for Christmas. It's too far. He said, I couldn't keep a stable relationship because any possible year I could be sold to another country. Boy, the lady, them never like that instability. Them want to know, so them live here and them going to be here for a long time. And I was just like, ratted, I never thought about that side of being a professional athlete as a footballer. Them can study anytime they want.
True.
So he didn't, at 33 years old, he didn't own any property. And he said, this townhouse mean right now is me and the goalkeeper rent it. 1 year lease me depend. He said he never wanted to buy a place because I don't know if he was going to be living there next season. Wow. So that was a wake-up call to me that a lot of us see the upside of what somebody have with their life. We don't understand the sacrifice or what they consider as a downside.
Yeah.
We all think the grass green on the other side.
Yeah. Not everyone is fighting their own battles.
Everybody. Yep.
Yeah. Because we look at the world as we're in our own movie and we are the star. Everyone else is just a side character.
Yeah.
No, that everyone is starring their own movie as well. Yeah.
That is true. That is true, sir. Yeah, man.
Speaking of the movie production, you started Real Vibes as your first company, right? That's your first company.
Yep. The company was Random Media and the website was Real Vibe. But yeah, that was the first one.
That was the first one, Random Media. When did you go into investment? When did you transition from that into more?
I love that. So we launched it.
Sorry, before you answer the question, what exactly is an investment for the layman who doesn't know what an investment is?
All right, I love that. So think about this. Which mango you like? East Indian, Julie? What kind of mango is your favorite mango?
Julie.
All right, so we'll go with the Julie mango. I'm a Julie mango guy too. So imagine that you eat the mango, you get the seed. You can plant that seed. And that seed can then turn into another mango tree that can then bear more mangoes. I can sell some of those mangoes. I can give away some of the mangoes. I can take some of them and plant more seeds and eventually have a mango grove. That is what investments are. It's planting seeds, expecting them to bear fruit in the medium and long term. That's what investing is.
Okay.
Make sense?
Yeah, makes sense.
You want to plant something that's going to create value over time.
Yeah.
So
and
you have to
is
buy the
investment
first
the same
mango
thing
you have
as
to eat.
development?
So investment can be used for development, but not all investment actually helps development. And development has different things, right? It could be development of housing, development of infrastructure, development of a business, or development of education, right? What do you mean by development? So again, that's a very broad term, but no, it's not the same thing, but investment is needed, whether it's investment of time, investment of talent, or investment of treasure, right? Time, talent, or treasure. I can invest that into a person to help them, to develop them. I can invest that into a business opportunity or into a charity and contribute to development. Some people don't want to do the development side. They just want to invest money to get a return for themselves. That's it. They're not interested in developing anything. Because investments can be debt. I can lend you money, you pay me back with interest. That's an investment. It only help me though, really. You don't make any. Hopefully you make some money, but I don't care what you did with it. Just pay my own money. That's how some people are. I invest differently. I care about the development side of the dollars I deploy. I want the money to multiply and help people, not just make me money. That is the difference in the way we invest. That's why we say I'm an impact investor. I want a positive impact when I invest. And we're measuring that. How many jobs did it create? Right? What class, what social class are these people? How many people are able to go to school because of it, or how many have clean water, or have energy, or affordable houses? We care about those things.
Okay. So that's
Make
a big
sense?
difference there. Yeah, big difference.
Yeah.
Totally get it. I think if you don't get it, rewind it, listen it again, and
Five
check
times.
To rewind.
ask in the comments as well. Ask in the comments, and
I'll reply.
yeah.
So in terms of what got me into investing is actually really simple. So imagine I now go start this company. We launched it, my brother, February 1st, 2002. It's a tech startup focused on media. So we want to build a website that has the largest collection of Caribbean music videos on the web. So we thought of it as a Caribbean MTV that's online. So granted, YouTube doesn't launch until 2005. So we are 3 years early for video on the web. And I make one call. So my dad is godfather to this guy, Joseph Powell. Joseph's older brother is Richard Powell, who was a year ahead of me. So Richie was a year ahead of me at Campion. Joseph was in my year at Campion. So we all grew up together. His father is my brother's godfather. My dad is his godfather, right? So we consider each other cousins. That's how we introduce everybody. And he had gone to Harvard undergrad. So he played for Jamaica. He captained our under-21 team, sir. Went to Harvard on scholarship, and the man ended up coming second in a business plan competition for his tech startup idea, which is a football website. Imagine a LinkedIn for football. I, as a player, can set up a page, put up my videos, put up my pictures, explain my stats, and then coaches pay to access that and then find players to then scout for colleges or for teams. That's what he built. They raised 1.3 or some million US from investors, drop out of Harvard, move to Silicon Valley, office on the floor of Yahoo, on the cover of Inc. magazine wearing his Reggae Boys yellow jersey, proud Jamaican. Eventually sell it for a few million, go back and finish school. And his nickname on campus was .com. And get introduced to Mark Zuckerberg, Edward Savrin, all these guys. So me call him and say, oh, Richie, I am launching this business. You have done a tech startup before. You've raised money from venture capitalists. I need you to help me. Can you be our chairman for the board, for our advisory board, and guide us? And he said, on one condition, he had moved to Orlando and launched a private equity firm. So they invest in private companies. And he said, on one condition, I will invest some money. I will do 25,000 US into the business, and I'll join your board as a chairman, provided you learn investing. He said, a startup has a 99% chance of failing. I need you to learn how to do private equity. You're going to study Warren Buffett. You're going to read every letter to shareholders he's written since the 1960s. You're going to read every single book I give you that my mentors give me. And you're going to come to Orlando every 3 months to sit down and meet with me. And I said, deal. And the man wired the money, joined the board, and then I had to start reading all those books and every letter to shareholders that Warren Buffett sent. So that's how I got into the investing world. Started in 2002. Yep.
What are 3 books? You know, you mentioned some books. What are 3 books every man should read? Everyone should read if they want to get into investing.
I love this. So the first one is How to Win Friends and Influence People. Right? You need to be able to get other people's money to scale. It's not enough to start with just your money. So How to Win Friends and Influence People, I feel, is a crucial book to read. The second book is, there's a new book that I really like. It's called The Outliers. And this one has that chapter on Warren Buffett as well as some other successful CEOs. So any business you're going into, it's still ultimately investing in your own business or somebody else's own. It's an investment. So I think The Outliers is a really, really good book. And then another book that I really love is called The Warren Buffett Way. So the Warren Buffett way. I believe in his approach to investing. It's very long-term oriented. You look for high-quality companies. It's very simple to understand. You don't need to have no calculus and some big number and them things. The Warren Buffett way, I think, is a really good book. I've given it to my dad. He loved it. My kids, my 10-year-old, them read it, them get it. So if they can understand it, anybody can use that to start investing.
Okay. What's different with the Warren Buffett way versus the normal sexy way that we see in movies?
All right, so here's what most people think investing is. All right, so I need to analyze the company and figure out what the graph look like, and I want to buy the stock at this price, and I need to sell it at this price. And Warren Buffett isn't buying now to try and sell. That's called timing the market. Nobody can time the market. You can't figure out when to sell, when to buy. What Warren Buffett is focusing on is you want to buy a few high quality businesses that have what's called a moat. They're defensible. It's high barriers to entry. And then you want to hold the companies for as long as they continue to be good. So when you ask him, for example, I was in London, I was just speaking 2 weeks ago at a conference, got connected to someone, and they asked me about what we're doing, and I think you could list that in the UK, but you're going to have one question they're going to ask about investing in the Jamaica stock market. Oh, that market is very small, it's not as liquid. When you need to exit the company because it hit the share price you want it to hit, how do you make sure you have liquidity to sell the shares? And I said, that's an easy question to answer. I am building a Berkshire Hathaway for the Caribbean. So I'm going to ask them, when did Warren Buffett sell his Coca-Cola shares? When did he sell his American Express shares? And the person said, he's never sold them. I said, exactly. He's had the Coca-Cola shares for like 47 years. He's had the American Express shares for like 37 years. He's never sold them. I said, how much money has he made from those shares? Paying him dividends. It's a profitable company, and it has stayed profitable. Paying him dividends every year. And the share price went up over time. He has made way more money by buying and holding. That is the difference with Warren Buffett. We're not trying to jump in and out, in and out, in and out. Do the analysis first, buy, stay on top of the business. As long as the business is good, keep owning the business.
I think that
That's the difference.
That take a different level of confidence, you know. That's like
exactly, but you shouldn't. He would say that you shouldn't buy a company if you're not willing to hold it for 10 years. The market shouldn't matter. Buying the shares today, it shouldn't matter if the market closed for the next 10 years. The way he thinks of it, imagine that investing is buying farmland. I'm a farmer. I own the farmland. Do I go and get a price for the farm every single year to then try and sell the farm? And will I sell it this year and then buy it back next year? No. I have the farm, and for the next 20 years, I'm going to try and make money from the farm. Every time I buy shares in a company, that is my farm. So you have to think he's investing like a farmer, not a trader. That is the difference. It's a different mindset and approach. But if you think of it like farming, you will think long term. Right? You buy a house, you don't try to sell the house every year.
I think the Warren Buffett way sounds like, you know, Chinese checkers a little bit. Where their thing is holding on to expand. They expand and hold. Whereas I think the American approach or the more capitalistic approach is it's more game switching and high value trading.
Right. I call the American approach hyper capitalism. That's typical, right? Hedge funds, all those guys. Although Warren Buffett is American, but the typical American approach is being a trader, not an investor. To me, investors are patient and long-term oriented. Anybody else is a trader. Let me jump in, buy this, sell this, buy this, sell this to make some money. But the thing is that, right, I saw a quote that was saying, the average investor is judging themselves based on, I bought the stock at $10, I sold it at $13, I bought it at $20, I sold it at $25. And then I bought at 30 and I sold at 35. While the investor, especially the professional investor, the Warren Buffett of the world, says, I bought it at 10 and I held all the way through 35. They pat themselves on the back for that. That's what I want to do, is to hold it through the 35. I don't want to keep jumping in and out. I believe in the business. I understand, right? I understand the company. I understand how it make money. I buy that. And then I sit on it and let it just keep earning the money until something go wrong. And I was like, oh, boy, them guys not really running this thing well anymore, you know. Is this temporary or is this permanent? If it's permanent damage to the business, I'm out. If it's temporary damage, you know what? I'll buy some more while it's cheap.
Okay.
That's the Warren Buffett approach.
How do you know it's permanent damage? How do you know when to exit an investment?
So what you want is companies that are based in are domiciled in strong long-term growth industries. So if you came to me today and say, "Hey, David, Blue Mahoe should look at buying into an oil company," I would look at you and say, "That's not a strong long-term growth industry. We have electric cars. We're trying to go with solar, all these other things. That's to me, that's a declining market." Right? It's like coming to me and say, "Hey, you should buy a company that manufacture printers." After nobody now really print nothing, that's a declining business, right? So
True.
that is how you have to look at it. 20 years from now, what is this business going to be doing? You have to tell me right now. 20 years from now, are we still buying Coca-Cola?
Yeah, in
Definitely.
elastic.
All right. 20 years from now, are we still buying Grace Kennedy Vienna sausage?
Yep.
Should be.
Yeah, man. So those are the things that I look at. Where will it be 20 years from now? There are other businesses that right now AI doing all sort of things. We don't know if they're going to be around, so we just don't invest in them. We
Fair.
don't invest in what we don't understand. You don't have to buy everything. Just stay over here and make your money. Don't worry about somebody make X amount of money in Nvidia. Good deal. You know it might collapse too. Me over here, I can sleep at night soundly and safely. I have no stress with my portfolio.
Wheel it back again to more the random media. You get the investment, you get the chairman that has the information and the experience. What happened next?
Boy, what happened next? Whew. You know, so we end up growing this thing now, right? We get all these music videos from TOK, Sean Paul, Michelle Montano, all these things. And Fast and the Furious, the second movie is going to be filmed in Miami. And we have this little branded car. We know so we in the car thing. So we have a little hatchback Honda Civic. My brother swap out the engine, we put in an SI engine, put in the turbocharger. Is a stick, we get Mugen spoiler, carbon fiber bonnet, all of them, and brand it for real vibes. So we're parking that stage at all these events in Florida. And at his little his shop, the car place, we saw a flyer that says, "Hey, we're looking for cars to be in the next Fast and Furious movie. It's being directed by John Singleton. Meet up at this place." So we show up at the thing, meet up now, we want to try to get the car, right? And John Singleton come over, R.I.P. "Yeah, man, this car look nice. I like this, whatever. We want this in the movie for one of the scenes, right? With all the cars driving off. But you're going to have to take off the branding." And we said, but that defeats the purpose of having a branded promotional vehicle. We're not take off the branding. The man said, "Oh, well, then the car can be in the movie then." And we say, "Okay, no problem. But quick question. You have any Jamaicans in the movie? Because you can't come Miami and shoot a movie and do a Jamaican in the movie. Can we be extras in the movie?" "Yeah, man, no problem. Reach out to this person." So we reach out and we get cast as extras. So in the start of Too Fast, Too Furious, where this is where you have the brown Supra show up, you have the pink S2000, the red RX-7, and then the silver R34 with Paul Walker show up, Ludacris walking across them to go start off the race. So that we spent 7 days, 7 nights filming in Miami, in Overtown. And we asked John Singleton one thing. We said, "John, we have this website that has all these Caribbean music videos on there. We're getting a decent amount of traffic. Can we take behind the scenes photos on set and publish them? It would help us drive some traffic and we can drive some visibility for the movie." And he said yes. So we took 117 photos over the 7 nights that we were there as extras. And we posted them in a gallery on Real Vibes. And we put a Sean Paul music video at the start. So when you go to the gallery, you can watch the Sean Paul music video and you can go and look at the pictures. We then reached out to a website called IGN.com, still around, Imagine Games Network. It's the largest men's website in the US. And I knew the guy that wrote all the movie reviews. He and I, Spencer and I, used to talk about kickers. We collect Jackie Chan, Jet Li, Chow Yun-Fat movies. So I reached out to him and said, "Hey, yo, I have 117 pictures from behind the scenes of Too Fast, Too Furious. I'll send you them. And he can post them and write an article about it. He'll be the first one to show behind the scenes from the movie." And say, "No, we don't want to put all of them up. We'll put up 3. We'll quote you and then we'll send a link to Real Vibes." I say, "Right, yeah, man, Real Vibes bust down. We'll get enough traffic." So this is now June. The article comes out, traffic coming like crazy. And at the time, we had our own server. And we could use, at the time, it was 175 gigabytes we had. I believe it was, of bandwidth. But we had a fixed amount of bandwidth. Anything above that, we have to pay 75 cents. We had 1 terabyte of bandwidth, and above that, we pay 75 cents per gigabyte that we go over. And all this time, at 1 terabyte, we use about 100 gigabyte. We're barely getting the traffic. We're not worried. Man, the thing buck. So 1st June, done after 1 terabyte, and we say, ratted. It go over and we got a bill. My brother's American Express was the bill that paid $175 a month or whatever, $145 a month to the server company. We get a bill for 3,000 US dollar. It charged us like July 3rd. One time, and it got you on the man card. And we weren't fretting. We say, yeah, man, now we can show some traffic. We can go to these companies and say, hey, you should advertise on Real Vibes. Look at the traffic we have. We have 1 million unique users and this happening. July come now. We still don't raise no money yet, We go way over $7,000 bill. So it's $10,000 now in 2 months. So we're getting all the traffic. Now we start fret. Because nobody write us a check. No investors jumped in. We thought showing traction means investors going to write you a check. Yeah, man, them might get users, people watching the videos. Nope. No advertisers, no investors. So the 3rd of August came, and the server company called my brother. I remember I was sitting beside him in an apartment in Pembroke Pines. Hey, Mr. Mullings, your bandwidth is done already. 3 days into the month.
Oof.
What would you like us to do? And the man said, plug it out. And I said, what do you mean? Say, plug out the server. Plug it out the wall. And I said, no, but do you know what is going to happen? He said, yes, I won't get a $10,000 bill at the end of the month. Click. And then plug out the server out the wall, and we shut down the website for 5 months. When I say proper depression, because in our head, when you get traction, people then believe in you and write a check to help scale the business. You're not supposed to be profitable yet. That's not how tech startups work. My grow. No, sir. It don't always work that way. So I remember mom called us. She was in West Palm Beach. And she called and say, so you shut down the website? Yes, man. Why? We tell her. And she say, so what you going to know? I said, don't worry, mom. If this don't work out, we can always just find a bridge and jump off it. But good. Me just jokingly said that, Jokingly.
I said that to your mother.
It's not even just a mother. Do not say that to a nurse. Not a nurse. The way she speed come down, she have 2 pizza coming in the apartment, open the curtain, say, no, you have to get out the house, you need some fresh air this car. And so we worked out a plan, and mom said, I will take out a credit card that's going to have a 0% interest on balance transfer, and I will take on the $10,000 of debt. You guys need to work it off and figure out what you're going to do again. And so she took out a 1-year card with Citibank, and we transferred the $10,000 debt to her. Because American Express is not a credit card. You have to pay it off in 45 days. So the day it was coming up, and so mom took on that debt. We then had to go and take some part-time job and figure out a way, what are we going to do next? And so we went and took regular jobs and went to work and figure out slowly, how do we bring Real Vibes back? And the decision was, the reason we spent so much money on the server was because the videos were just costing so much. How do we cover the cost of videos? Oh, you know what? YouTube the video. Let's partner with YouTube and let them handle the video part. And we just handle the actual marketing and the content curation. So we ended up doing a deal to become YouTube's first Caribbean media partner. So 2008, we became their first Caribbean media partner, which meant that we were allowed to earn revenue from our official YouTube channel. And that's what we started doing. Coordinate and collate, and the pitch to them was, you guys don't know Caribbean content, so you don't know what to monetize or not monetize. Let us sign off on some channels. Let's help bring people to the proper channels on here and bring the kind of content that would drive visibility in this space. You don't know it. Make us do it. And they agreed, and they gave us that deal. And that's what we had to do. We had to pivot. Right? Somebody else with deeper pockets than us that can afford to cover the cost of bandwidth. And then we wanted to have another part of the website where people could log in and leave comments on our stuff on the website. And MTV Networks bought a company called Flux, Flux. Flux was powering the MTV website and some others, so we became Flux's partner as well. So you would log into to Real Vibes' website with the same login you would for your MTV Networks website. Same username, password, and you could go through the entire network of things. And so Viacom ended up hosting that piece. So the back end of the website was hosted by Viacom, the videos were hosted by YouTube. And that solved our problem. And then we wanted to stream music. Imagine new song drop, we want bust the new tune them. That's bandwidth again. I'm not paying for that, and I drop it into that pothole again. And we did a deal with a company called iMeem, IMEEM.com. And they had a flash player that would allow you to upload songs and then play music. So we started creating a soca playlist, a new dancehall playlist, a reggae playlist. And that was hosted on iMeem, and we could embed it on Real Vibes. So now our cost per month was only $45 a month. for the actual Real Vibes hosting because everything was actually offloaded to somebody else as a partner.
Whoa.
So, very important lessons there.
Yeah. The lesson
Yeah.
pivot and call mommy when you feel like jumping off a bridge.
Yo, brother, to this day, she bring that up, as a story. To this day, she tell people. Oh, man. Yeah, entrepreneurship is hard. A lot of people don't realize. We all think it's going to be up and to the right. My business is such a good idea. I just need to do this and this, and my story going to be like just like that story over there. The problem is that when we hear the story of Mark Zuckerberg and Jeff Bezos and those guys, the reason we know those stories is because that's the one in the million stories. We don't hear about all the other companies who tried and failed. That's not who we're talking about. You only talk about the successful one, right? Imagine that you have the NBA and it's what, 400 people, 400 players in the NBA? How many players come out of college basketball try to get in the NBA? We're not talking about the guys who fail. It's thousands of them. No, we're talking about the ones who made it. And so it's called survivorship bias. We are biased towards the survivors. And then we all think we can be the one in a million or the 400 out of 40,000 athletes. But you have to believe that. Otherwise, you would never start. You have to be delusional to be an entrepreneur. You have to be. And you have to be willing to be misunderstood for a while. People don't understand. Why are you doing that? What are you trying to do? We don't understand your business. You have to just keep going. You have to believe that this is actually possible. But I was then taught, after going through that pain, I was taught it is easier to raise money to buy a business than to start a business. Most investors, if they're looking at you and you say, yeah, man, I have this idea, I want to start something, they're going to have a whole heap of things. What experience you have, how much money you putting in, this, that, right? One bag of thing. Versus when you got to them and say, hey, this business over here now, and this man wants to sell it. Here's the money it made for the last 12 months. Here's the product it sell or the service it sell. Here's a team that's in place. I want to buy this business. I need this amount of money to buy it. They can immediately run some numbers. Oh, you're going to take me X amount of years for make back my money, and then if I hold on longer, this happen. Yeah, man, we can work a deal. It is a lot easier to buy an existing business. So that's what I tell you. If you want to be an entrepreneur, find a business you understand that you can buy from somebody and then you can contribute something to that business. So maybe you can do marketing and help them do digital marketing better. Maybe you actually know how to do the finance part, but you can bring something to that business that business didn't have. And that's even more important today because there are 10 million baby boomers just in the US alone every year that are retiring. Think about Jamaica and all these older people that own a business and the kids don't want to take it over.
Yeah.
You go start this business. You all have a plumbing business, right? And you are run a liquor business or your AC business or the car business. You have a garage. You making money. You know what your child do? Your child gone off to med school or gone lawyer school and them things there. That's what happened. Or the child migrates and don't come back. Who is going to take over the business? But they need to retire. So the only thing they can do is sell the business so they can have money for retirement. So you go to them and say, hey, I see you have this business. Nobody planning to take over the business. I would like to take over the business. I will understudy with you for the next year and a half. You're going to give me an owner's note. I'll pay you over the next 2 years to buy the business from you. And I can pay you some money right now. And I'll share some of the profit with you. Over time, you get to retire. Give me a year and a half. Help me out. Maybe meet some of your customers and we do a transition. So them say yes, I've never met a person that say no to a deal like that. Never met one.
If I was to give you $1,000, $10,000, and $100,000, what are three businesses that you'd invest in with those three figures?
Boy, yeah. All right. So those are three different figures. This is US or Jamaican?
US. Or euros if you want.
Or euros. We're clarifying.
If you want to put it in Jamaican, I think the question gets harder.
Way harder. But it's the same idea behind it, right? So if it's 1,000 euros or 1,000 US, the kind of business I want to focus on is I would want to create something that has a digital product. So I need to build a website. I'm probably going to write an ebook or write a book, and then people can buy my books or a course, right? So I don't need a whole heap of money to market. I need to build a website. I need to design the book or design the course. Then I need to market that. So that's what I would do with $1,000. I'd create a digital product so it can scale really quickly. So that's what I would do with $1,000. With $10,000, I would go and look for a business that I can actually buy. A small service-based business. It might be something like a pool cleaning business. Right, that is a very simple story. It's a lawn care business. Yeah, man. I buy something simple where I can grow the number of clients there. But I already have someone I was doing customer service and I can call it, have some equipment already cutting the lawns. But they probably weren't going into certain neighborhoods, whatever. But that's what I would do with 10,000. I want to buy a service business that can scale into another geographic market. That's what I would do with that one. If it's $100,000, I am buying a business that already have staff in place, a CEO in place, and I come in and I'm now the second person and I can be the chairman of the board or something like that. But I'm buying a business, existing, profitable, and throwing off cash. That's what I'm buying. I'm buying future cash flow.
How did you get to Blue Mahoe Holdings?
Well, all right. So we have to fast forward, right? Imagine I was speaking at a Jamaica Stock Exchange conference in 2014. At the time, I had worked in lower middle market private equity. I'd sat on the Jamaica diaspora advisory board as well. And I kept talking about investing back home. I wanted the diaspora to see Jamaica as an opportunity we can invest. And so Marlene Street Forest, the general manager at the time of the stock exchange, asked me to speak at their January conference. And the topic was, how do we get more Jamaicans in the diaspora to invest back home? And I said, why would you ask me that? She said, well, because you always coming home, you always pushing me to invest down here. Just tell us what it would take for you personally to invest back home. I said, oh, that's easy. And I went on stage and I listed out what I believe are the problems. Here are the problems that exist, why we don't invest. Here's the solutions. We need to have something that gives us trust, right? We have a problem. So we don't want to give the government money for diaspora bond, either waste it or steal it. So it needs to be private sector led. Number two, it needs to be run by someone from the diaspora who comes back home more often so they know how things run, how things don't run, who to do business with, who not to do business with, right? It has to be partnered. Number three, partner with a financial institution at home that's known and trusted outside of home, because we have to avoid the Bernie Madoffs and the Olins and the cash plus, right? The unregulated stuff. Number four is where you're domiciled, the legal stuff. I don't want to come to Jamaica and sue you. The court system is inefficient. It's a good court system, but inefficient. So I need to be able to sue you in an efficient court system. So US, Canada, UK, one of those three. And then lastly and most important, the majority of the diaspora are not rich. They're not in the 1%. So you can't just do a hedge fund, which is investing in public companies and only take money from 100 rich people. Can't do a private equity fund, which invests in private companies, but only take money from 100 rich people. You cannot do it as a venture capital fund, which invests in startups and take money from 100 rich people. We need to be able to take money from the average person, the person with $100, not just $100,000. That's what you have to do. And that was my thing, telling them that's what you need to do. 4 years later, I was doing a deal with Joe Matalan, Little Joe from ICD Group, to get him exposure to U.S. investments. Joe had First Angels Jamaica. They want to understand, how do we invest in startups? I want to see what they do in the U.S. David, connect me with some things in Miami where I have relationships. And he said, oh, by the way, what happened to that idea that you pitched 4 years ago at the stock exchange conference? Why never launch it? And I said, launch? I wasn't pitching anything to people. I was telling you guys what you need to launch for me to give you some money. I said, no, but you're the perfect person to launch it. We know you from working at Jamaica National in Jamaica. You worked in private equity in the US. I know what a hedge fund over there. So I know investing. The diaspora trusts me from being on the board. And I always coming home. I should do it. And they will back me. So all I hear is Joe Matalan going back me. I say, yeah, man, I in Joe. And we spend 18 months now with him and Vikram, his COO, figuring out what is the legal structure, how we go invest, right? The investment thesis, and then what is the name. And so Joe said it can't be Jamaican in the name. I can't say Jamaica Capital or Jamaica Investment, right? I need something that is global in name, but let's do something that have a like a Jamaican thing to it that we know. I'm saying, Blue Mahoe would be a really good name. We know it's Jamaican, it's our national tree. But the rest of the world don't know and don't care. And then a tree is something that you plant, it takes a long time to grow, people benefit from it. It turns out the Blue Mahoe is a fast-growing hardwood that's here for the long term. It's perfect. And that's how we started out with the name Blue Mahoe. So we created Blue Mahoe first, get some money from mom, dad, my brother, and two friends. So I put together 15,000 US, and then we invested in the Jamaican stock market in 2019. That's how we started with that. And then, oh, wait, this actually worked. I mean, literally, my mom and dad them say, oh, you have sense. I could introduce it to some more friends. And then we built it. All right, let's create a bigger company now and let's start raising money from more friends. Some will be invested. Some need to hire a team. Some need to pay the lawyers. And then we go and raise another pool of money. So basically, you raise some, prove that you have sense. then you go and raise some more, show that you have some more sense, then you go and raise a bigger number. But that was the idea. Somebody else looked at me and said, I think you'd really be the perfect person to do it, and I will support you in doing that. And it was somebody who's one of the richest people in the Caribbean. So when that person says that to you, you're going to wake up and say, am I missing something in myself? Somebody else believe in me? And then I got the chance to sit down with Michael Leachin in June 2019. I'd met Mike a number of times before, but this was the first time we really sit down to discuss my ideas with Blue Mahoe. And the first question I asked him, and he said, yes, I will do this. And I was like, what? Yeah. It's a 1 hour meeting, and within 15 minutes, he said, yes. And he said, what else you want from me? I was like, I never come here for nothing else. This is the one thing I thought he was going to take me the whole hour for negotiate. So I didn't. He said, well, is there anything else I can do to help you? I said, 1 second. Yeah, man, can you do this? And he said, yes, what else? This, yes, what else? This, yes, what else? And I said, really? How you say yes, I didn't expect all of this. Why are you saying yes, I'm not your child? You don't work for me. You never give me the money and invest. Why are you helping me so much? And he said, well, Jamaica needs more David Mullingses, and I am going to help. You will be my best student ever. You'll be worth more than me, and you'll have more impact than me. I am going to help you. What do you need from me? I'm going to just sit there and say, rotted, this billionaire, a black man, a mixed, right? Mixed race. It look like us come from Jamaica, go foreign, become a billionaire by following Warren Buffett's approach to investing. He's now telling me that he's going to help me do this, and he believes that this is something that is needed. He said, I will do whatever it takes to ensure that Blue Mahoe becomes the vehicle in the US to invest back into Jamaica and the broader Caribbean. What do you need from me?
Wow.
Wow. Wow. Talk about no pressure.
Yeah.
So that's how Blue Mahoe came about. Blue Mahoe came out because somebody asked me to talk about what I would need for me to put money into. And then somebody else said, you should just start it and we'll help you.
I have a small question. For a small man like me that was not at that conference, what did you tell them, people in the diaspora? What did you tell them to do to invest in Jamaica?
So it was the people in Jamaica I was actually speaking to. Yeah, it was the people in Jamaica I was talking to. There was almost nobody from the diaspora there. So these are the CEOs of NCB, JMMB, Scotia. Those are the people in the audience. And I was telling them, here's what you need to do to get the diaspora's money to invest back home, right? I'd worked at Jamaica National. I designed mortgage investment products and savings products for the diaspora. So I felt very confident about speaking about what overseas Jamaicans really want and how we think. And so once again, the first thing is trust. There's a trust deficit. And this is not unique to Jamaica. Once you leave a developing country and you move to a developed country, so you move from Brazil or Jamaica or Botswana or Malaysia to the US, Canada, UK, EU, boy, you see how things run more efficient and different, That's just real thing. So there's the trust deficit. I don't trust putting my money to work back in that home country because I see how inefficient it is. I see how corrupt certain things are. So we need trust. So I need something that's trusted. I need something that's regulated. Right? Cash plus all-in, those things were unregulated. I need something that's a regulated investment opportunity. That's why I can open an investment account, buy shares in Grace Kennedy or NCB, for example. That's what I would tell the diaspora to do. It's not just buy a house or build a house for your little family. No, invest in a company. Preferably invest in a bunch of companies. Invest in a company that do agriculture and sell a product into the United States. And I love when I speak to people in the diaspora, and I typically start by asking them, all right, how many people in here have any investments like Apple or anything like that? And you see a couple of hands go up, but for the most part, the hands don't go up. How many people invest in real estate? Almost all the hands go up in real estate. I said, okay, great. How many people in here buy Grace Kennedy products? You buy Grace Jerk sauce, Grace Vienna sauce, it's something. Every hand go up. I said, great. How many people in here own Grace Kennedy's shares? Almost every hand goes down. I said, so you are spending money buying these products all the time. You show all your friends them, say, if you want jerk chicken or this, you have to buy, and you don't own shares in the company? And that's when nobody ever tell me that. I never thought about that,
Yeah.
I want them to realize if you are buying it consistently, it must good. Are other people buying it consistently? It's good. Okay, can they get into other markets? You trust it. You trust the company. You trust the food. Buy the shares in the company to the man. Don't just drink the Coca-Cola, buy the Coca-Cola stock. But most of us were never taught to look at that side of the investment. We're taught to be consumers and then to buy real estate. You need to own your own house. and have your own place. That's what most of us have been taught. We have to get past that. We want to put money out to work so the money can bring friends back. That's what we need to think about. Put the money out, right? When it's in a savings account, we not get nothing.
Yeah.
That's just real. Put the money out in an investment. Let it bring back some friends.
Yeah. That's not as you mentioned something serious a while ago. The Jamaican mentality, the Jamaican dream is to buy a big house or build a big house, buy a big car, have a nice woman, maybe have a little business on the side. But outside of that, they don't. The mindset just trapped in that little bubble. And you
Yeah,
want to
it
get
is. It is.
and you tap
And that,
the game,
yeah, man. Yeah.
exactly how it should be. But at the
Yep.
end of the day, a lot of people them just don't know how. Like you tell
They
somebody,
don't know.
they
And
say how.
school don't teach us how.
Yeah, I say how. Okay, David, more and buy some Grace Kennedy snacks. What me do? What me do?
What do I do?
Because if I want some
Exactly.
sausage,
Exactly.
sausages, or I want some jerk season, I just go to the supermarket and get it. Where is the supermarket to invest in the Grace Kennedy that I love so much?
Oh, I love that. And that's exactly what we need to change, right? So we're doing a deal with a company here in Jamaica. And I tell them I want them to become a financial supermarket. That's exactly what I described the deal to them. I'm buying into your company. I'm going to become their chairman. We'll announce it in another 8 weeks. And the idea is I want you to become a financial supermarket. That's the exact term, because we want people to be able to come and say, oh, I would like to invest. This is how you open the account. This is how you make the investment. This is how it works. And we train them. We need to do financial literacy first. And I remember they were asking me, so who is going to be our target market? We're going after the high end and the doctors, or who are we going after? And I said, no. Let NCB cap markets and them guys go for the high end people. I want to go for the nurses, the teachers, the market vendor. Them, I want to go for the ordinary person and help to educate them, make them more financially literate, and then show them the different things they can invest in. You want to do real estate? Here's another way to invest in real estate. You don't have to buy the house yourself. You can buy a real estate investment trust that own a bunch of property and getting money off of the thing, and you get paid. Oh, I never know what that is. So we can show them that. We can say, oh, you want to get Grace Kennedy alone? This is how you do that. You want to get Grace Kennedy and a bunch of other good companies? You can buy this fund over here. Here's how that works. That's what we want to bring to the market and show people. I think that too many people have kept that information away. They've been gatekeepers.
Yes.
Yeah.
If we want to elevate each other, we have to think like how Jewish people and Chinese people think, Them will help each other, They are not gatekeepers.
Why not?
Black people seem to be want to all be gatekeepers.
It's a quest for black excellence,
Yeah, man. So make we come together and unite. So if I know something, I should share it with you. I shouldn't keep it to myself. Right? I've had some people come to me and say, oh, I would have considered investing in Blue Mahoe, but I see that you filed the SEC and it show everything you do and what the business is about. I don't know if I would want to invest in a business that anybody can copy. I was like, but you have Lyft and you have Uber. I don't understand. Microsoft and Apple, competition is not a bad thing. How much bank exists? You think it's only one bank you can have? You think it's only Blue Mahoe alone can do this? It don't matter. We will do ours our way. Somebody else, I want them to have the playbook. I want us to go public on NASDAQ next year, and I'm going to write a book. Here's how we did it. And I want every black person in the world to be able to go read my book and say, yeah, man, so step 1, step 2, step 3, here's how much it costs, here's who I need to talk to, here's the kind of lawyer that I need, here's the kind of investment bank. I want to give them a playbook to repeat what I did.
Your success.
But my father was a lecturer at university. His whole thing was teaching and passing off knowledge so people were then smarter than him. The proudest thing as a teacher is to see a student exceed you. That's how I look at it. So my job is to allow an entire generation to exceed everything I have accomplished. And that's what Michael Leachin has passed on to me, right? Mike expects me to exceed him. He expects me to then pay it forward to a bunch more people and they should exceed me. That is how I am judging myself. Can I create 20 US dollar millionaires before I'm dead? That is how I am judging my business success. It cannot be me alone that was successful coming out of this.
Amazing. The educational component that you mentioned, the educational for financial literacy. Well, we had a friend on that actually spoke a bit about this a few weeks ago, and that's one of his main passions, to educate a lot of Jamaicans how to be financially literate.
Please, connect me to him.
100%. How do you plan to do that? Because your business idea sounds great. It sounds great. It sounds fantastic. The supermarket is there. But we as Jamaicans, you mentioned the trust component. I'm not buy,
I love
I
it.
buy from the same shop every day because when I my paycheck late or something happen and me have to trust something, I
Man.
go to that shop. How are you going to create that educational component in order to build the trust?
So there's a few things that I believe. First one is that most Jamaicans and most Caribbean people not going to listen to me. I'm uptown, they don't relate to my life, I don't relate to their life. So we need a messenger who they will listen to. I can design the message, but I need a messenger that they listen to. So in my opinion, these are artists, so we need the musician them for jump in and do a tune, right? The same way we can sing about clocks, it's the same way we can sing about investing. There has to be a way to tell that story on top of. Because we're talking about buying Gucci and we're talking about buying, Ace of Spades. Well, we can talk about buying stock. We can talk about buying real estate. It's still money. So one, I think that we can leverage entertainers to tell the story. The second one is that you want to get to certain influencers. So we are about to do a deal with an influencer that wants to do a bunch of financial literacy skits. So we use comedy to
Mhm.
teach the financial literacy. So you are learning while being entertained, right? Edutainment. So that's the second way that we want to do it is to entertain people while educating them at the same time, using someone they already are interacting with and identifying with. You can put me in there and make fun of me too, but it's really that person that is the messenger. So the right messenger matters. The last thing I want to do, and somebody else approached us for this one, is not me. We have a non-profit that has focused on doing financial literacy class in the United States. They're willing to come to Jamaica. They do it in poor black neighborhoods or impoverished. We don't want to say, I guess, impoverished neighborhoods. They want to do that here, and we would adjust it for the Jamaican approach and thing, but we would want to bring that down here and roll out that program through the Mahoe Charitable Foundation. So we have our own grant program. We would want to bring their plan down here, pay some Jamaicans to tweak it. Let's test it in a few schools. So let's go to the high school and it's like an after school program where the parents can come or the guardians or the kids, but anybody can come and learn that stuff. And then as you perfect it, you can then scale it out across the island and say, hey, we need to hire somebody to come and teach this program. We train them first, and then they can, all right, train the trainer. We can then have them go. It's essentially franchise financial literacy. And then non-profit would cover the cost for that person. It might be a retired teacher that would go in once a week and have that. On a Saturday, we think there's an opportunity to partner with churches. We could use a church hall on a Saturday or a Sunday or in the week, whatever makes sense. But those are the ideas that we have. And somebody else has approached us with a mobile app that they're designing. They've designed an app for teenagers to be able to learn about investing. And it's obviously it's not real money, it's digital money to test and see how it works and teach them
Gamified.
about gamify. And so my 13-year-old is actually testing that now. The guy has asked my 13-year-old to be a tester, and they want to roll it out next summer. Of course, not everybody has data, though, to be able to get access to the app. So that's why I didn't focus on the mobile app as a big opportunity just yet. We still need better connectivity here in Jamaica in particular. So we have to start in person, and then we will do the gamification and add on the app as well.
You
But those
definitely
are my plans.
You definitely need to talk to my friend because this is the exact conversation we had off here like a few weeks ago. And he was saying the exact thing. He wants to start teaching it, but he's stuck at work most of the days. And he's like, I just don't have the time, Davin. And when I do have the time,
I love that.
I can do one every
Yes,
quarter.
man.
I can do one session of a JC every quarter. And hopefully I affect 5 boys, and those 5 boys go and teach their parents and
Yeah.
just the message. And hopefully
I
this
love it. Those are the people who deserve to get paid full time to build out that kind of because they would do it. If they could cover their bills and survive and then they would do it. And those are the kind of people I would want to talk to and say, guess what? We have a non-profit we're rolling out. What would it take for you to be able to do this full time? Let's have a real discussion and maybe we can jump in and back them and say, boss, here, you're good. Here's the money. Make we get this done. If you need us to pop in and say hello, make we pop in and say hello too.
Exactly, because the more educated investors you have, the better it is for you. One
Literally.
One other thing when it comes to the trust, because you say the stock exchange, and we have one of the biggest scandals recently, Usain Bolt's
Yeah, man. SSL.
your pitch deck when they ask question, because that shattered the entire world image of Jamaica, in terms of investment.
Man. So here's how that worked now. So first of all, we are the 10th largest, actually the 9th largest shareholder in Kaylee Group, which owns 49% of Usain Bolt's Tracks and Records. Usain Sherwood Holdings is the 6th largest shareholder in there. So the first thing I said to people when they bring that one up, I say, well, actually, we are shareholders in a company with you saying, and we're trying to get Traction Records. You're saying about Traction Records franchise in the United States. So the first thing they think, oh, well, you do something with you saying, all right, fair enough. And you're saying people know who we are, right? So good. That's the first thing. The second one, though, that I point out to them is that here's who we do business with. Jane Fund Managers, right? Jane is over 150 years old. It's one of the oldest building societies in the Caribbean. And then NCB, the largest banking institution in the Caribbean. So those would be really hard to fail. So these are not SSL, bigger companies. It's like JP Morgan you're dealing with in America. Number three, I said to them, I said, Bernie Madoff happened in America. Have people stopped investing in America? No. And I said, okay, SSL happened in Jamaica. It should not happen. It's messed up. I don't think they treat Bolt and the other people right either. But have the Chinese stopped investing in Jamaica? And I'm saying, no. And I say, okay, so if we run away from investing in Jamaica because SSL happened, who is going to own Jamaica in 10 years? And everybody will scream after that. Oh, the Americans, the Chinese, the Mexicans. I say, exactly. We have to invest back home. 1 scandal, 2, 4 shouldn't stop us from investing on there because the foreigners don't care. They're buying up land. They're investing. They're building hotels down there.
Mm. Yeah.
So that's how I look at it. Who going to own Jamaica if not us?
True. Exactly.
Yeah, man.
Because the foreign direct investments, most of that foreign investment, the profits leave the country. I think, 80% leaves the country?
80% from tourism, 75% it gone. The money doesn't stay here. It doesn't circulate in our economy at all. Yeah, you're not right. Hit the nail on the head.
And it leave. Another aspect. So, how are you going to get people to trust that you would protect their money as well? Because
I love that. That one was how we started, right? The most important thing is transparency. That's what people want, right? They need to understand what you're doing with the money. That's really what it comes down to, right? What you doing with money? How do I get back my money? Those are really what matter to people. So because we're public, right? We're going to be publicly traded. We're listed on NASDAQ under the ticker symbol IRI. And we're the only SEC regulated company right now in the US. So the Securities and Exchange Commission. So that means that we have to report once a year. Here's what we're doing. We have to apply to be able to raise the money. They looked at it and qualified the offer. And yeah, man, this looked good. It looked legit. So we are going to be going public, which means every 3 months we have to report. You put out what's called a balance sheet. So I say, here's everything we own. Here's all the debt we have. Here's what we did with the money. I do a report that says, here's the money that came in. Here's the money that went out. I own these shares in these companies. Here's what's happening with the shares. It's up, it's down. So now you can see how much we pay ourselves, how much we spend on legal, on marketing, on buying stuff. So transparency is what matters. You get an annual general meeting once a year where everybody can come and vote and ask questions of me and my management team. So, Mr. Mullings, Mr. say you're going to do this deal, but you lose money over here. Or you did this deal and you make some. Why you do this? Why you do that? Why you never do this? You can actually talk to me. And then lastly, you want to be able to get back your money. If we stayed private and you wanted to get your money, you know what you have to do? You have to call me and say, hey, my child going off to college, I want to cash out some of that shares on the money, someone can pay for college, or I want whatever you want to do. You want to buy a new car because a new car job. It's your money, you can do what you want with it. You have to then ask me to then exit. So when I worked at the hedge fund, for example, think about this. The hedge fund, the minimum investment was 250,000 US. You put in your money and it's locked up for 12 months. So I cannot take out the money for 12 months. After 12 months, if I want any of my money and the returns, I can only take out no more than 25% every 3 months. So you're going to take me 1 year to get back my money. Because they took your money and they bought shares of public companies. They don't want to just run off and have to go just dump the stock. It might be the wrong time to sell. So they have lockup periods. I didn't want to do that to people. I didn't want to do a hedge fund. So if we are publicly traded and you want to get some of the cash, you can either borrow against the shares. You own the shares of Grace Kennedy. You can borrow some of that. It's like you own a house and you borrow equity against the house, right? This is the value of the house. This is what I owe. I can borrow some of that equity. Well, the shares are worth this much. I can borrow up to this much against the shares, usually 50%. Or I could sell the shares and just get my money. You don't have to ask me, hey, Mr. Mullings, I want to sell, and can you buy the shares? No, just sell it on the stock exchange and collect your cash within 2 days and do what you want to do. And if you want to get back in, you just buy it when you want to come back in. It's as smooth as that. That is how you build trust. Transparency and liquidity. That's, in my opinion, that's how you build trust.
Perfect. And the other side, trust with the lawmakers, the ML laws, the anti-money laundering laws.
Mm.
How are you solving that problem? Because, Jamaica is on a lot of those lists.
Yeah, well, thankfully we're not on the grey list anymore, right? FATF, as we know, has been good to Jamaica. So Jamaica has come off all the lists, so that is good from an anti-money laundering. That's AML, KYC, know your customer. We only raise money in the US. So remember, I'm not raising money in Jamaica. We raise money outside of Jamaica. So we are a US company raising money from Jamaicans and Caribbean people abroad. So we mainly had raised money in the United States. They already have a very strict system. So your money is coming to me through Bank of America, JP Morgan, Chase, right? I'm not taking cash. So that means you're already in the system. So if the money come to me through your system, you can't tell me it is money laundered. It was in your bank. It came through your banking system. So that's how we get around that. We wire the money to Jamaica, to banks here. We work with JN Fund Managers and NCB and GK Capital, the biggest of the biggest. It goes to their accounts. When I wire money to here, it have to go through Bank of America or Bank of New York Mellon or Citibank. It goes through American banks to come to our Jamaican accounts to then go and buy shares of public companies here. That's how it works. It got through the US financial system. So that's how we deal with the AML and KYC issues.
You feel tight and add that layer of
Yeah,
security.
man. If them tell me there's something wrong, I'm going to say, great. Tell me where in your system the problem is. It's not me. It's your system or the problem. It went through your system to come to me.
Yeah, I know that.
Good blanket to have, yeah.
Yeah, I know that. I know that there's especially when I send money home, and sometimes the money goes up, and then I'm gonna say, "Where's my money?" I'm searching it just going through there, going through the only.
We literally sent some money, I wired money yesterday to buy some NCB shares. And it wired to our JN Fund Manager account. It was wired through a Citibank account. JN confirmed the funds are now here. What you want to do with it? And then we have to send a separate email. And that's another thing from a transparency standpoint, right? For me to buy stock is not me one can make a decision. And I can't just say, hey, I want to go buy this. There's a second person in my company. We have an analyst, right? He's now our senior vice president associate vice president for investments. 2 people have to confirm for the trade to happen. So if I want to buy or sell, 2 of us have to say yes, and I need it in writing, not a phone call. It have to come in writing from the 2 different emails. And again, it should never be one person deciding if we can buy or sell. Because for argument's sake, if it was me one, I could have emailed Jane and say, hey, sell all of the stock I own and wire it to this bank account. Jane supposed to say, no, I need confirmation from somebody for that. So we have a CFO that just joined, so that you need to have dual control for sign off. That way, the 2 of us would have to be committed to fraud then. And the idea is that you wouldn't have 2 people in there doing it. You shouldn't.
Yeah, should be some compliance. Is this the business that you're going to launch on Next Level CEO?
So it's not that we're launching the business, Next Level CEO is going to talk about my journey, and we're going to talk a bit about Blue Mahoe Capital. It's the first time they have a company on there that's going public, so they get to talk to a CEO for a company that's about to go public. We might be public our filing would have been done with SEC by the time the episode comes out in Q1. It should be about March. But yeah, the episode isn't just about Blue Mahoe. The episode is about my journey as a Jamaican. Okay. Coming from Jamaica to then becoming an entrepreneur, what are the lessons that I can pass on to people? And then we're tying in some interviews, plus you get to come to Jamaica. So the whole idea is to change the perception of Jamaica. That's what I really use an episode for. You never know some money I make at Jamaica. Check out this company, check out this business, check out farming, check out this. And so I'll go to Traction Records, and you said about Traction Records in the episode. You will see Bessa, which KD Group had built out in Arca Bessa. You're going to see Mapex and the farming equipment that they provide to Jamaica broilers and other companies here in Jamaica. You're going to see Kuya Clothing, that we are shareholders in that, and what we're doing with Kuya. So you're going to actually learn a lot more about our portfolio and what we have. And we're going to Bahamas as well. We do own a business over there that does augmented reality, focus on the tourism. You come off with the cruise ship, you go there, you put on the AR goggles and the lightsaber and them things. We have the rights to that in the Caribbean. It launched in Bahamas in May of this year. So you're going to see that. So for us, it's an unveiling party. Right? I've been very quiet. As much as I talk so much and I post things and people know some of the portfolio, most people actually don't know what we really own under Blue Mahoe. They don't know how much we've raised. That veil comes off at the end of January next year. Because we have to file with SEC now. And
So
we are excited to bring a different approach to investing in the Caribbean, and especially after the hurricane now. We had already planned to do 700 one-bedroom houses in Old Harbor. We're doing one-bedroom affordable houses, 8 million Jamaican dollars for those, 51,000 US. So one person's NHT covers the entire cost, 100% mortgage for that house. Now that Hurricane Melissa come, is over 190,000 houses that have been damaged or destroyed. So there's an even greater need for affordable housing. If we can partner with people who have land, well, we already have the builders that are building these modular homes that are all block and steel, right? Been through a hurricane already, been through an earthquake. Let's build more of those. I think that's a brilliant way to leverage the diaspora's money. Hey guys, you can help rebuild Jamaica. We can build it back better. We can provide housing to people who actually need housing. These are climate resilient housing, right? Hurricane resistant housing. It gives these people dignity. And by the way, NHT covers the mortgage for the person to get it. Man, I feel great. Let's roll out. And why we can't build 10,000, 20,000? All right, you're going to take money. Well, we're going to raise the money. Let's go under that. And let's show people that money can be made building affordable houses. You don't have to just build a high-end penthouse and an expensive apartment and townhouse that we're seeing building everywhere. Let's help to make sure everybody in Jamaica and everybody in the Caribbean have a decent place. Just start with that. Just a decent house. And then we can do other things as well.
one thing with that, every time I hear affordable houses, I think about the socio-economic impact. You know, every time, for example, the first ones, the gardens that the politicians all built eventually turns out into ghettos. How are you going to prevent these one-bedroom houses from becoming that?
So I love that. I was in Barbados with the Minister of Housing there last year, and he was showing me they had some high rise. They're not even high rise. It's 3-story and 4-story apartment buildings, and then they have another one called Atlantic Breeze, I believe. These are 2 and 3 bedroom. And I remember when I saw the apartments, I said, man, so in Jamaica we have Tivoli Gardens and these other places that started out really good, but then end up not being maintained. How have you managed to make this place look so good? I'm saying, no, we had the same problem. We first started out by asking the people to maintain it, right? When you buy the property, them give a little list and say, hey, man, you have to maintain this and you should do this. And the people just never did it. They were not used to living in that kind of an environment. They never had to do that before. So you can't expect them to suddenly do it. So what he said is that they said, you know what, we will take on the maintenance. You're going to pay this little fee every month. We will take care of the maintenance. So the government sent in the gardeners, the government sent in the maintenance people, and that's how they managed to keep the place better. And then the people learned. And once you now are used to having this clean environment, they say, oh, you might like how this looking now, yo, don't litter, pick up that. And they started to then take it on. You taught them, you showed them, yo, we respect you. And that's actually the thing, right? I remember I was on a tour in Trenchtown, and I asked somebody, I said, man, I like this place, but how come garbage on the road, it litter, why it must look so, man? And the man say, you don't understand, You see them round bin there, son, the round receptacles. And I say, yeah, there's no bin there. It look like a bin supposed to be there. I say, yeah, bins used to be in there. I say, what happened? I say, well, we got plastic bins donated. The government put them there, and the plastic wasn't good for Jamaica's climate. So the plastic crack up and mash up, and nobody has replaced it. So if they treat us this way, why should we treat the place any better?
Okay.
They don't value us. I must say, rotted. They didn't give the people decent trash receptacles. So them feel like, well, if you don't treat the place good, me not care. I was like, wow. So that's what we have to do. We have to take care of it first and let them see how it's supposed to be done. Then they will learn and have pride in their place. But the first thing is you need to treat them as human beings. So we need to take care of the place first.
Okay. So with like community fees and stuff like that.
Yeah, man. Just essentially a homeowners association fee. Pay a little fee. We will take care of cut the lawn. We have a little central park where you can go kick a ball and thing. We will mow it and cut it and weed it and take care of it. That's the idea. Because you need to be community oriented. We don't want to just build a house and sell your house. We want to build a community and sell your house in the community. That is the idea, right? We literally the one that we're doing right now in Old Harbor. It's across from High Pro Fields. There's already a basic school there. There's land set aside for a police outpost, and we'll gift that to the government of Jamaica, and they can outfit it. There's land set aside for a health clinic. We will gift that to the Ministry of Health, and they can outfit it. and that's in the community. And then we already have a football field. Well, it's a multi-purpose field, but say our football. Some cricket might play, but football we are playing it.
Yeah.
That's what we want to build every time we go and do this. We have to think of it from a community standpoint, right? There's drainage, where so the water run off, it go down in the drain. You're not having water flooding the place. They built their own gullies. So they built their own gullies. They have 7 sewage catchment area for treatment. So all of that was built in there. It was a very holistic approach to building the community. And we wanted to do the same plan. Yeah, man, that's development. And to me, that's a great way to use investment. So let us keep doing that. What happens when we decide, say, here's some land, make we create something like a shop. And now you live in the community, but you can now run it's not a corner shop no more. It's a real shop that. You have a mini supermarket or a mini mart or the local bar. It's right there.
Yeah.
I think that makes sense.
It makes sense, but then you account for a factor, the government factor. How you mitigate the government in all of this? Like, we don't trust the government in Jamaica, even if they vote for the party.
Oh, boss, I know that one.
Government and people. See me a labor and me a PMP. Me just attack the government and I will. You see, having to even put that disclaimer.
Exactly.
It's crazy. I know. So the first thing is that this is not government land. So that's the first thing. It's private land. The second one is that NHT is actually not government per se. So the NHT mortgage goes through the NHT fund. That's not the government taxpayers' money. That's our NHT contribution. So the mortgage comes from NHT. That's not directly government. So that's great. When we do hand over the police outpost, that is government security. I'm not high-end private security, right? This is affordable housing, so we can't touch that one. When we do the healthcare one, we could donate equipment, certainly, but the government needs, in my opinion, the government should provide the nurses and the doctors. If that don't work out, then we need to find a private sector partner who would then lease that building and they could run a clinic, but then that means they're going to have a bit more of the user fees to use the clinic. Some people will use it though, it's closer, right? They go check your blood pressure, glucose, that kind of stuff. So if the government don't do it well, we can, hey, you know what, run this, give us back the building, we'll find a private partner that already does this and they can run it. So that's how we are avoiding the government part. They actually have a program in where the government of Jamaica, through HAJ, the Housing Association of Jamaica, will partner with developers and give them money to build affordable housing, and then they have a guaranteed program to buy 80 or 90% of the houses that they build. We're not doing that either. I don't want to take the government money to go and build something because they might tell me that I have to use this contractor, I have to pay that man. I don't want them to be able to tell me who to pay, sir. I want to be the best that fit what we do. So we're not taking government money.
If a lot of people are listening, they've heard the main struggle so far that they've heard that you went through would be random media when you went into that depression. But you also had a bigger personal struggle in your life, like your struggle with being diagnosed with cancer, right?
We had I had a tumor. I had a cancerous tumor in my appendix, which grew into the colon, the right colon.
How did that change your mindset? Because you came to terms with your mortality that day. So that means you come out. I was sick for like 1 week, 1 year, and that entire week I was scared and I was thinking about my life and my future. So I can only imagine how you thought about your future. How did that shape your way of thinking?
It really changed a lot of things going forward because I had so many regrets. After living such a full life, this is 39 years old, I thought I would never have regrets. I live in my best life. And on that bed when I was thinking, before I went into surgery, when I came out, and I was waiting for the results to see if I'm going to need to do chemotherapy or radiation. I had to wait 4 days for the test. And I'm thinking every day, like, man, I really have so many regrets. You know what? This person, I didn't want to say this to them, or this person was worried about what they were going to say. It don't matter right now. I did this deal. This never worked out. I didn't do this. I didn't pursue this. Why? Because I was afraid of what somebody was going to say. I was afraid that Jamaicans were going to say me too enough. And I said, man, you know what? And I prayed and I said, Lord, if I survive this, I promise I will not live the second half of my life the same way I lived the first half. I lived the first half of my life as if, and I say in half because, right, you live to 75 years old, 76, half, I am 39. So half of my life gone. That's what the doctors were saying. And I just say, you know what, there are other things I would have done if I wasn't afraid of what mom and dad might say or how they're going to feel or how some other people are going to say something to me. I always wanted to be liked. That was the thing. I was raised to be to be likable. I should get people to like me. I should be nice. I'm the Mr. Nice Guy person. So there are things I wouldn't do. There are things I wouldn't say. I wouldn't take certain risks because I don't want nobody to laugh at me or talk about me behind my back kind of thing. And I had to learn that it didn't matter. You could say whatever you want on Twitter or social media. I don't care. I shouldn't have to cut the record. I want to go and play some football. So I'm going to play at 40 years old, at 44 years old. I'm going to play. I don't care. Laugh at me all you want. I'm going to do the rally driving. I'm going to go do this. I'm going to try and audition for a movie. I'm going to get on a TV show. I'm going to do a reality series. I'm going to do it. Because I am the only person who's going to judge myself when I get on that bed again. And I never, ever want to face that again. I never realized there was so much in my life I wanted to do that I'd prevented myself from doing it because I was afraid of what people were going to say. Those people weren't there to hold my hand and pray for me in the hospital. So why was I caring about their opinions anymore? So that was that. It literally, you realize, first of all, that you have no armor, right? We go around in life all wearing armor. I think that's what it is. We all put on armor because we don't want nobody hurt us. So I have armor. Yeah, and then you end up in the hospital like me, and it's just like, oh, ratted. I don't have no armor. What the whole time I thought I had an armor, I don't actually have the armor. It don't matter. I shouldn't care. I should have thick skin. It don't matter. They're not going to be there. What is my legacy going to be? That's all I could think about. What is my legacy going to be? Jesus, I wanted to do this and this, and I didn't do it. I need to write more columns in the newspaper. I need to share my story more about the hardships of entrepreneurship, not just the fun part. Let me help some other people. Let me share my lessons. And let me write some checks and help some other people too. I shouldn't wait until I'm a multimillionaire because I might not be alive at 70. So let me write the check now at 44 years old instead, and 45. I want to do financial literacy. I want to be a philanthropist. Let me write the check. No. I'll find a way to make back the money, but let me help somebody else today because that is going to have an impact for much longer. That is how it changed my thinking.
Wow.
Best way to live life. Best way to live life.
Yeah. And hopefully someone listening would have heard that and reevaluate your life, sharing your story. Well, last question from me. If you could invest in one thing for the rest of your life, what would it be and why?
Am I allowed to say Blue Mahoe Capital?
I asked you a question.
Am I allowed to say that?
if that's your favorite and best investment advice,
why not?
Not investment advice, your choice.
Right. So I'll be honest. If it's not Blue Mahoe Capital, I would invest in Warren Buffett's Berkshire Hathaway, even though he's no longer CEO. He's stepping out of it next month. But I would invest. If it's not Blue Mahoe, I would invest in Berkshire Hathaway.
Okay, and there we have it. Thank you so much, David. Do you have any questions for us? Anything you'd like to ask us?
What made you guys start this? I always ask people, what's your why? Why?
My why? 2 years ago, I live in the south of Spain, right? In the south of Spain, during July and August, in the town that we live in, everyone leaves. Everyone has a vacation home.
It's a big funeral, dead town.
Everyone has a vacation home.
Wow.
Because the families here, they don't sell their houses. They have one at the beach and they have one in town, and every summer they go there. So I was here in the summer in a non-English speaking country, and I had a lot of time on my hands. And I love listening to podcasts. And I was like, I want to do something for myself. I work for someone that sponsors my work visa. Mm-hmm. I have less power over that in myself. And I want something that I had power over. And I wanted something that will entertain and educate someone. The entire edutainment thing. I think we as Jamaicans, we love edutainment. And even though from time to time, different topics, we get there. So I would go for my walks and I would always listen to podcasts on my walks. And I'm like, all the Jamaican podcasts that I know, we have to focus them on entertainment or this. But we don't have anyone that just does two guys talking from their experience, living overseas, sharing that and bringing it together. And Tony went to the same high school a few years apart. One of my best friends here. I was like, we have these conversations, bro.
Every day, every time we see each other.
When you come over to my apartment, run a boat, and we reason, and then we're gone, and it don't benefit nobody else.
Yeah.
It don't benefit the information stay between us. So I was like, let's do this. Let's do it for fun. Have the conversation. So within the space of a month, I bought no editing experience, no audio experience, nothing. everything. Record the first episode. The first episode
The pilot.
was about procrastination. We're like, we're not procrastinating. We're doing it. We're moving. We're doing this. And we just started doing it. We say, yo, even though we might not make a lot of money from this or anything, every week we'll try our best to release one episode of at least up to an hour minimum.
Yeah.
Oh man,
And we're
I
gonna
love that.
grow and change. We start out just the two of us having conversation, then we start getting people. Then this year we get a little bit monetized, and now next year the plans are to get more people on from Jamaica like you
Yeah.
to help push the podcast to another
To
level.
Jamaica.
Yeah, to Jamaica, especially when it comes to the edutainment part, because a lot of the times we know that we have to have some of those conversations that aren't really. Oh, you just said to you, what the word you say? The vibration.
Yeah, higher vibration or lead conversations. Yeah.
Sometimes, as you say, with the skits for your promotional, you need a low vibration chat to pull someone in so that they can take a
Yeah.
little bit of the high vibration chats like this one as well.
Yeah, man.
So we're planning
Love
to
that,
do
love
that
that.
next year. So you are one of the first people that have reached out to push that agenda as well.
Wow.
And this will be a
Wow.
good episode for January for people looking into what they're doing when they start make those New Year's resolutions. So
Exactly.
Yeah, man. I'm happy to be part of that. And trust me, just privately, you can message me and tell me some of the people you've reached out to, and I'll see who I know and who I can help get on there. Of course, you know, if we've invested in the company, I definitely can get to their CEO. I'll try and get one of those people.
Most. That's the next
So I
step.
already have in mind some people I think would be really interesting to have on your
Yeah,
podcast, since
as long as-
that's what you're going for.
Yeah, definitely. We want to drop at least one episode or two episodes each month with someone
With some
Yeah,
guests.
man.
Yeah.
doing something in Jamaica that is trying to impact Jamaicans and their lives.
Yeah, man.
You know, for the positive.
Alright. Well, count on me to help and support, man. I'm very interested in supporting
Appreciate
this.
it,
I love what you're
appreciate
doing,
it,
man.
man.
And
Thank
we
you.
need more men doing stuff like this, right? The women getting them flowers, the men out there doing stuff, and we need to support. When you see men doing stuff, we need to jump in and support them, especially. I think that we forget that the men need support. Everybody had focused so much on helping women, they've now forgotten us. So we have to make sure we support each other then.
Yeah, but it's just another key point, you know. A Jamaican man don't ask help. And don't
Yeah, as you said, the armor.
That is true.
We wear this armor.
We have on the
armor,
armor, but then
we have to be
when you end up nearly dead, you realize, say, yo, you know, we should ask for the help now. Don't wait until you end up in my situation where you're not sure if you're going to live or not to realize you should ask for help. Just ask for the help from now. That's what I want to tell the audience. Close the mouths, don't get fed. Stop saying no for other people. Ask.
Yeah, man. Ask him. Ask Daniel. I shoot my shot. Sometimes I message some people on Instagram. Tell you say that man don't have a reply to you.
But shoot the shot still.
See the way.
Try it anyway.
Yes.
Take the opportunities and go for them people. And please look, if you're in Jamaica and you want to get into investing, or you're in the diaspora, no, we have someone. You know, Blue Mahoe Holdings, you know, the national tree of Jamaica.
National tree.
No oak, no cedar. Blue Mahoe
Blue Mahoe.
Holdings. You know, link up. David is on Instagram. Check out his website, check out his LinkedIn, whatever you need to get in touch and start this journey of investment, because we have to invest in our future. Right now, a lot of people, if you don't have any money, you have an investment, which is your time, and you allocate that time to something else. I realized earlier this week that when it comes to the investment of time, we always say we don't have time, but we have time to watch 2 hours of Netflix. There's nothing wrong with watching our scroll.
Doom scrolling.
There's nothing wrong with watching Netflix or scrolling for a bit. But think about this. If you watch Netflix for 2 hours every day, imagine if you take 30 minutes or 1 hour, 5 days a week to put into something that you're passionate about. That's 5 hours that you've invested in something, you know. And if you invest that 5 hours, no, the rewards you reap in the future will be good. Because a lot of people, they don't realize, you know, sometimes it's an easy gratification that's hard. It's easy to do. You get the instant gratification, but the investment, It's hard
Yep.
to do because you only see future gratification. We as human beings want the gratification right now.
Right
No.
now.
But
Yep.
please, if anything, one less episode this week and focus on something you actually like. And if you don't know what you like, use the one episode to actually think about what you like. Because sometimes just the mindfulness and thinking and going for a walk helps. And guys, thank you so much for joining. Thank you again, David. Tonil, big up yourself. And like, share, subscribe. As we said on the Yardman podcast, wow, good.
What